Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rosano, and this is episode 248 of the world famous University of Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. You and I, ladies and gentlemen, we just call it Online Marketing Moves. We are coming to you live today. Today is Friday, April the 9th, 2021. At the time of this recording. So if you're listening to this in the year 2031, hello, how are you? And I hope the planet hasn't blown up quite yet. All right. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. I remember when I first moved to Atlanta, 2006. Well, officially I moved to Atlanta January 2006. Yeah, January of 2006. I had been sort of hang around Atlanta for like 3 or 4 months. And then I just said, you know what? We're just going to move. So January 2006, I moved to Atlanta. And I remember I used to listen to the local radio because the job I had, I would just drive back and forth. If you not from this country, you can whip out a map. But if you are from this country, maybe you know, maybe you don't. But I would just drive from like Georgia to Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, and some Alabama and Mississippi. In Arkansas. So just the sort of the southern part. So for some reason, every Friday, I would end up in Atlanta, just driving around. And I remember it was a radio show, and then they would do the whole, it's a Friday, it's what are you gonna do this? And I'm like, I used to curse every Friday. I'm like, I gotta work tomorrow. I don't give a bleep 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 what these people are doing on Friday. So every time I think about Friday and how people get excited about it, I always chuckle. I always think back to that stuff. I'm just like, man, Fridays are not, you know, Fridays are cool, I guess, but it doesn't really, for most people, it's like, for most people, you have to work, so it's like, Friday's cool and everything. But my favorite, my favorite day to me, now this is me. But if you want to know a secret, the best days of the week to be off, if you have to work a job, the best days of the week to be off are Sundays and Mondays. And I will tell you why. Because on Mondays, when you go to like, let's say Monday. Now, first off, a lot of restaurants are closed on Monday. So you have to keep that in mind. But when you go to a restaurant on Monday, it's nobody there. Okay. It's nobody. And that's a good time. That's a good time to eat. For me, that's the best time to eat. You go to these restaurants on Saturdays, Sundays, packed. The food gets rushed. The waiters are not as on top of it as they should be. But if you go in on a Monday or even a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, I tell you what, the quality is on top, is on point. Okay, if you go to a restaurant on a Monday or a Tuesday and they serve you bad food, then they just had bad food, point blank. Period. Okay. If you go on a Saturday and Sunday, don't get pissed off because they're normally rushed and it's very hectic. You know what I mean? But if you go on a Monday, a Tuesday, Wednesday, even a Thursday, you will get a far quality better meal than you will if you go on a Saturday night. It's like, have you ever tried to take somebody out on Valentine's Day and the Valentine's Day falls on a Saturday? Good luck with that. It is the worst day. If you having to, if you are in a relationship and you want to take somebody out on Valentine's, go on the 13th, go on the 15th, go on the 12th, the 16th. You understand what I'm saying? Avoid the 14th, avoid holidays and restaurants. That's basically what I'm trying to say. And I know we started off with the whole Friday song, but yeah, I enjoyed that Friday song, and it used to make me laugh. And I used to just be like, I don't give a bleep, 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 because I had to work on Friday, and then most of the time I was stuck in traffic on Friday while they was singing the song. So it's just, but whenever I think of Friday, I always think of people getting all excited, getting all carried away, And we probably had the same conversation last Friday, but lately it's just been making me chuckle more and more because I've been working 6 days a week lately, and it's just like, come on, man, Friday, nah. But This week I've just been doing a podcast and working on the business at home because I've been off the last 3 days from driving. So no driving this week. The only thing I've been driving my wife to work and helping her out. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing to see my wife being pregnant and working as hard as she's working. She's working harder now than she was when she wasn't pregnant. It's amazing. But I've been driving her to work and helping her out and going every day to get groceries and going to, help out with the because whenever she comes in, she has a load full of dishes, so you have to clean them, make sure they're clean, and make sure you have everything prepped out for the class. And she's been running this spring break camp, so it's been cool helping her out and then coming back home and doing this stuff. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to discuss how you can get people first. Scratch that. Before we do that, I'm going to give you I'm going to tell you something I do that you can do. And that is, for 5 minutes a day, last few months, 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. I just sort of sit here, no music, no nothing. Just sort of sit in silence. You know what I mean? And let the thoughts flow. I just let them flow, and my brain goes where it wants to go. Sometimes I come up with ideas, sometimes I do not. But it doesn't matter. It's nice just to sit here for 5 minutes because, as you well know, your life, we always think that we have to be on the go. We're always on the go. Go, 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 go. And it's like every now and then you must stop, take a deep breath, and be like, let me slow this puppy down. Okay. The train is out of the station, but it doesn't have to be all the time. You know what I mean? And sometimes some of your best ideas, some of your best thoughts come from just sort of standing here, sitting still, and not doing anything, So I know that's kind of like meditation like, but I'm definitely going, I know me personally, I'm definitely going to do more meditation, more yoga. I've been doing yoga like once or twice a week, but I need to do more of it. I need to do more, you know. I want to get, because the better off you, the better in health you are, the easier it will be for you to think clearly and actually do the stuff that you want to do. You get more energy and all that jazz. You know what I mean? So that's 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 what I'm looking forward to. And I gotta shed a few lbs before the baby comes, because the baby's gonna listen. By the time my child is born, I'll be 42 years old. By the time my child is born, I'll be 42 years old. So the energy will be, I will need I will need every ounce of energy that I can get. So hold on, everybody. For some reason, my microphone all of a sudden doesn't want to cooperate with me. So anyway, like I was saying, I need all the energy I can get. So I'm definitely going to do more yoga, definitely going to do more exercising, going to do more meditation, the whole nine, more stretching. And one thing about it, I'll tell you this, one thing about when you get older, most important thing is you don't have to be a power lifter, you don't have to be a workout warrior, but make sure you are stretching, make sure you are limber, so that way your joints, your muscles won't get all tight. You won't have all these back spasms and knee problems and all that. You know what I mean? So if you don't do anything else, make sure you stretch. I went to the stretching place once, and the lady said, "You got tight hips." I said, "What the hell's that? What does that even mean?" She's like, "Your hips are tight." I'm like, "What can I do?" She's like, "More stretching." I'm like, "Gotcha, more stretching." And it was a very nice place, actually. They had this some kind of package, but at the time I was always going. I'm like, I ain't got time for all that, but it was like what's it called, stretch zone. So if you live in Georgia or somewhere like that, I don't know, if you live in London, I don't know, they have a stretching place, but In America, if you ever come to America, if you come to Georgia, they have this place called the Stretch Zone, and they have a couple of different locations, and it's a very cool place. And they give you a free and they give you a free stretch before they try to sign you up for anything else. All right, but anyway, so if you can start off, just do like 5 minutes. 5 minutes is sort of standing there and thinking. You don't have to stand there. You can sit down. You can do whatever. Just don't have the TV on. Don't have, don't try to read a book. Don't do anything. Just hang out with yourself and think and let the thoughts flow. All right. And now, 10 minutes into the episode, we're going to get to the point at hand of this podcast. All right. Today, it's just very briefly, though. I want to discuss what you can do to get listeners and to get followers, and how you can get them, how you can keep them, and how you can grow and how you can make money. Because it's amazing how, like, sometimes you see these people, they have they have 1 million followers, 2 million followers, 3 million followers. You know what I mean? They're not making any money. And it's like, listen, I don't want to, listen, me and you, we are in the for-profit business. We are here to make a buck, correct? Exactly. We are here to make money. I don't want 3 million followers if I'm not going to make a dime. Why would I want that? Like, I'm not that horse for social media to want 3 million followers. You know what I mean? Like, nah, I'm good. I'm good on all that, But at the same time, you're definitely going to have to grow, not necessarily the social media sites, but your YouTube channel, your podcast, your blog. You want it to grow, you want it to build. And there's different ways that you can grow it without having to spend money on ads and all that kind of stuff, Because if you spend money on ads, of course somebody be like, all right, I'll listen one time, and then they just sort of disappear. But you want to get followers, you want to maintain them, and you want them to be active. You want them to be productive in your world. And things that you can do to get that going is, number one, be yourself. Don't try to be a clone of anybody. Don't try to be a carbon copy of anybody, Don't try to be somebody that you're not, just be who you are. And let's say you do a podcast and you have a lisp, you know what I mean? Like, don't worry about that. Don't, like, get that out of your mind. Just keep going, just keep talking, just don't try to, because sometimes we try to cover these things up and it makes it worse. Like, I know sometimes when I first started, I said a lot. And I was thought to myself, I said, you say an awful lot. And I thought, man, who's gonna listen to that? But here we are today, 6-7 months later. We have people that listen. We have a lot more people that listen than they did before. And some things you just have to work out. Some things you just have to work through. But you have to be yourself. You can't, because I remember at first I was like, man, I would listen to other people do podcasts. I'm like, man, they're so smooth, But I'm like, they are smooth and they are more polished than I am because they've been doing it a lot longer than me, I'm 4 months in. Like, what do I expect? I'm doing this every day. I can only get better. I know I can only get better. You know what I mean? It's not like you're not going to get better at it, but just be yourself. Don't try to be Rush Limbaugh. Don't try to be Howard Stern. Don't try to be this person, that person. If you're not polished, that's fine. Just be who you are. Be yourself. You know what I mean? And that gets me to the second thing. I know people use this word all the time, but be authentic. All right, just if you're having a bad day, or if it's fine. Like just talk. Sometimes you'll be amazed. Like I spent 10 minutes just now talking about everything but this subject. You know what I mean? I talked about driving down the road, stuck in traffic, yada yada yada, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes when you start doing a podcast, you start doing videos, you don't have to necessarily get to the subject all the time, especially in the podcast format. It's personal. It's more intimate. So you can be as authentic as you should be. You should be forward, you should be honest, you should be open. You have to be vulnerable, you have to be, because we are people. I know people are like, no, I'm not gonna say I know people like, but there's so many different sides and so many different layers to all of us. Every human being is we're all different. We are all we all have things that we like. We all have things that we don't like. We all have things that we are good at. We all have things that we are not the greatest at. You know what I mean? So it's okay in a format like this. It's okay in the videos. It's okay to be yourself. It's okay to be authentic. It's okay to be open. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay. You know what I mean? It's all right, because we are all none of us are perfect. You know what I mean? Like nobody's perfect, and it's fine. You know. So if you are not where you want to be and you're doing a podcast, just say, hey man, of course I'm not where I want to be, Like, how would I look if I told you, hey man, I got 6 million followers, hey, I got 6 million listeners, No, of course I don't. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you something. I'll be very authentic with you right now. I'll be very honest with you right now. I remember one point, I think it was like 3 or 4 months in, and I was doing a podcast one day, and I thought to myself, and I said, I'm not getting any more bleepy bleep listeners than I already had. I said, why am I doing this? And I remember I stopped, I deleted the record. I got about 5 minutes through it. In my head, I just kept thinking, wow, what are we doing? What are we doing? You know what I mean? And I stopped. I deleted it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to bed. I went to sleep. I woke up like an hour later, and after that, I was like, come on, man. We can't get it. We can't gain list. We can't get any more listeners if we don't record the show. Because I know in my mind, it's like it's some days is more. You're gonna get more listeners than the next day, and you might get more or less. It depends on the topic. It depends on the subject, and it just depends on the day. And you never know. And then one day, when I'm doing this podcast, I'm gonna keep doing it. It's gonna keep growing, and then one day we're gonna be the number one podcast in the world. I mean, we are already the number one podcast in 3 different galaxies, but you know what I mean. So it's like that's something that it doesn't. You don't have to be perfect. Like nobody's perfect. Everybody knows this. Like the world is. We're not as naive as we used to be. You see these celebrities, celebrities they have bad days. Celebrities go through things. People. I used, in the '80s, used to think, oh man, these people are so perfect. They live the perfect life. No, everybody has problems. Everybody has, everybody has stuff. Everybody has baggage they had to deal with. You and I have baggage, but it's just be authentic, be open, be honest, be vulnerable, be who you are. Be who you. Don't try to be a clone. Don't try to be a carbon copy, because that is phony and that is fake. And phony and fake is great, but it's very fleeting. You know what I mean? Like, I'll give you an example. It's this guy. I think he does. I don't know if he does YouTube or he does Facebook, but he's always giving advice to women. What's his name? Derek Jackson, I believe. Yeah, I think that's his name. And he's always giving advice to women and whatnot. And a lot of times it's kind of, I don't know. People that give these give relationship advice, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of suspect because every relationship is different. Like, relationships are hard work. Relationships are not easy, and nobody's perfect. We all do things. My wife, it's things I do she don't like. It's things I do she can't stand. You know, I leave. I I remember a couple of times she said, "You're starting to leave the toilet seat up now," and I'm like, "What?" And she said, "You're starting to leave the toilet seat up all the time. It's pissing me off." I'm like, "Just put it down." Like, I don't understand why women get upset about the toilet seat. I'm like, in the middle of the night, do you not look? Because I always look, but I'm like, all right, you know what? I don't want to sit here and argue. I don't want to sit here and argue with the woman I love about the toilet seat being up or down. So I just put it down. And if I forget, and I'm like, oh, let me go. Let me double check. And I walk back in it now, okay? Because I don't want. And it's annoying to me. I'm like, what is she talking about toilet seat? But it's relationships are hard work. But anyway, so this guy, he gives this kind of advice, and man, whatever, you know what I mean? And apparently he had his own skeletons in the closet, and he was cheating on his wife. And so, and that he got the problem is not that he got caught cheating. The problem is when you try to be perfect, or when you try to act like you're perfect, when you look down on people and their own problems and their own relationships, then you kind of look like an ass, when something happens to you. Nobody's saying that, hey guy, you shouldn't cheat on your wife. That's not for us to decide. That's for him and his wife. But at the same time, when you're a public figure and you're out here, not that he's giving advice, because I thought about this today. I thought about this yesterday. You know, we can all give each other advice, especially because it's like, do you want advice from a person who has read about the thing that they're talking about, or do you want advice from somebody that has actually done the thing that you want to do? You know what I mean? Because I thought about Steve Harvey. I saw him in the interview, and I don't remember when Steve Harvey first started on the radio, and I thought he was terrible on the radio. And then I remember he came back I saw him a few years later doing a radio show, and I was like, oh, Steve Harvey done got better, And he started giving this relationship advice, and I was like, why is Steve Harvey trying to give relationship advice? Then I thought to myself, he's been married, he's been divorced, he's been through a lot of different things. So he's somebody that should give advice because he has been through that. He has made his mistakes, and he's not trying to hide the fact that he's not perfect. You know what I mean? Like, he's not trying to say, "Hey man, I haven't done this, I haven't done that." He's talking about his relationship now. He's like, "Hey, I've learned this, I've learned that." You know what I mean? And it's like, and at first I was like, why is he giving advice if he's been divorced twice? But it's like a guy that's been divorced twice. I'd rather hear from that guy than somebody that's never been married, and trying to give me. If somebody's never been married, you can't give me advice about. You can give me advice about relationships, but when it comes to marriage, you, I don't think I would want your advice. That's just me personally, because being in a relationship and being married is totally different. Like, the legalities of marriage is way different than just being in a relationship. Because I remember me and my wife, we was together once, and then of course we split up at one time. But we wasn't married at the time. You know what I mean? We was just dating, and she got her stuff, I got my stuff. She moved out, I moved out, and that was it. We didn't have to go through a whole lot of stuff. But we reconciled and we got back together, and now we are married. So, of course, I don't even want to say that word, but if something was to happen and we had to go through that, it's a whole different process now than what it is when we was just dating. I can't just get my stuff and be like, all right, then boo, I see you later. Now it's a whole nother ball field. It's legalities, it's marriage, it's a baby. It's the whole gambit. You know what I mean? It's a house, it's a car, it's so much more now than what it was before. Before it was just like, get your stuff, I'll get my stuff, I'll see you later. You know what I mean? But so dating somebody and being married to somebody is two different things. You know, it's different. But the whole point was, don't don't sit on your high horse. It's like when people I'll give you another example of phoniness. Like I had a family member one time. A family member, they their one of their relatives died and left them some money. So they went back to school. They went to college. They went from making, basically they was making minimum wage to they started making over like $100,000. And they started accumulating all this stuff, and got land, and had cars and stuff like that. And I guess he forgot where he came from, because he started off, he had no money. He was in a struggle too. But then once he got to the top, he started kind of thumbing his nose down and looking down on people. And that is something that you should never do. No matter how high in life you go, you should never look back and look down on anybody. Like, that's bull. Don't do that. But he started looking down on people. And I remember my mom was like, he was saying people shouldn't get stimulus. And I'm like, when he broke one point in time in his life, why he acting like he been rich his whole life? I said, that's dumb. And it was really aggravating me. I'm just like, no matter how far I go in life, no matter how high to the top I go, I will always be humble. I will always remember, because there have been days, when I started off working, when I got out the Navy, I was just piss poor broke. Like, I had nothing going on. No car, no nothing. You know what I mean? Live with my parents, 23, 24. And I was fine with it, don't get me wrong, but I was just struggling, trying to figure out what I wanted to do with myself, what I was going to do with my life, which direction I wanted to head into. So no matter how old I get, no matter where I go, no matter what I buy, what I purchase, no matter what, I'm never going to look down at anybody and just be like, ha, 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 look at this SOB. You know what I mean? So we are definitely not perfect. So don't try to be perfect. Be authentic, be yourself. We so much more to just be yourself. You will try to be phony, because you will get exposed at the end of the day. You will get exposed, and you will look ridiculous. You know what I mean? And the money will not be there. The fame will fleet. The fortune will be gone, and it's just, you're back to square one. You know what I mean? So the more honest you are, the more real you are, you're better off in the long run. You know what I mean? So that's how you can get. That's how you can get audience. That's how you can get listeners. So just be yourself. Just be who you are. Just be authentic. Be open. Be honest. And another thing, have an opinion. You know what I mean? Like, have an opinion. Have something to say. Don't be one of these people who are always straddling the fence about everything. Just come with your opinion. Have an opinion. You might not be right all the time. You might not, people might not agree with you, but that's fine. But at least you are coming with an opinion. You know what I mean? That's it. That's it for the podcast. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Be engaging, be authentic, be yourself. You don't try to be perfect, and everything will work out. And you will get all the listeners you want. You will get more. You will get more, and they will be engaged. The more open, more honest, integrity. You have all that, you'll be fine. But with that said, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the podcast. That's it for the episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And we will be back tomorrow with the all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. But until then, my name is Tony Zano. And as always, everybody, peace.